Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. A big shout out to all the truckers who listen to the show on replays through the internet at night. I want to thank you guys. You've made my show grow like you wouldn't believe. And also a shout out to a friend of mine, Sam, who up is in Greenwater, Washington, with a little community radio station and internet station that also carries our show. Besides the big ones, I mean, we got one little one. And I just wanted to be a big shout out to Sam. We'll be back in 2 minutes and a half on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
Boy, I got to do something about that thunder down here at the compound. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. This is Gary. We got Preston Dennett on. We got James Kirschbaum on here as my co-host tonight. One thing, Preston, what do you think is going on? Because, like, James was saying he was reading on, like, NBC and all the news media saying this thing is canceled at Area 51. But then I read from other people, including Timothy, saying, no, it's still going on. And you know, what have you heard? Anything?
No, I'm kind of in the same situation as everyone else. The buzz that I'm hearing is that there are going to be people going up there in sort of an informal event, and it sounds to me like it's just gained too much steam to stop this unless there's some sort of official announcement and they say, no, this is canceled, you're not allowed to go out there, which, could be a possibility. I've been to the Little Alien. It's a tiny little place. Rachel, Nevada is very small, and I don't know if this place can really handle a large capacity of people. I mean, there is space out there, but I'm worried for not only, violence occurring, but, what if people run out of water? Where are they going to go to the bathroom? What are they going to eat?
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Excuse me, James. A lot of times, like the last time I went and seen art, I went with my two sons. I rode my Harley and they rode theirs. And we went to see art. And I remember before we got to Pahrump, we left Reno. And then it started getting really hot. And that stretch going to Pahrump, the temperature, and this was like in early June. It was like pumping 109, 111 degrees and getting hotter. And I thought I had enough water. I had like 3 or 4 bottles of water in my saddlebags on my bike. And, boy, and just between the year before, there was this gas station, it, had food and water. Well, it was out of business. That whole little town on the stretch was like everybody was out of business. And I was out of water. And I remember that I had to pull off the side of the road because all of a sudden I started hallucinating. I started seeing rattlesnakes all over the road. And then I started getting dizzy, and I was smart enough to pull off the side of the road. Thank God a trucker came by, and he didn't have any water, but he had a soda, and he gave me that, and that got me going, to the next place. Can you imagine these people going out there? You consume, and that heat, a lot of water. And if you don't have enough water, I mean, that right there is going to be a major disaster.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's not a lot of inlets and outlets either to that place. So traffic problems could be horrendous.
Yeah, and then food. Is there going to be enough food to support people unless they were smart enough to bring their own food?
But who knows? Maybe this will turn into a UFO Woodstock event.
Well, that'd be cool.
Right? And perhaps this is a possibility because I'm guessing the ETs know about this. Just because they know where their abductees are, they're keeping tabs on humanity. That's become really clear to me. So they probably know about this event. They may have even, had a hand in it. I don't know. Pure speculation. But they could show themselves. There's a large group of people who are, enthusiastic about the subject and ready for some movement. Well, this would be a good place. I'm sure people are bringing cameras.
Well, I know at Area 51, though, that the Air Force has been posting that they're going to have extra troops there. They're all going to be armed, and they will use deadly force. Now, I read that last week, and that scares me. And then when Penny told me, or put a message up on one of my posting, saying that they went there last week, and all of a sudden they got all this, like razor, barbed wire strung around everywhere now. And snipers everywhere. That I don't know if that's to scare people or that they're being serious. You step on the property, you could be dead. I don't know.
Well, we need some. I hate to have to. This is the only way we've gotten movement in society. Is it's come down to sort of a violent confrontation, and it shouldn't have to be that way. But when people lie, people get angry. And if it comes down to violence, well, it comes down to violence. I sure hope it doesn't. There's no need for it. But there is a seriousness to the situation, and I think that alone is good because this subject has been so steeped in ridicule for so long that people aren't taking it seriously. And if this wakes people up, well, I'm for it. This is basically why I support it, because it lets our government know that there are enough people out there. This idea would not have caught fire if it wasn't, time, if enough people didn't really resonate with it. But they are resonating with it.
Well, because what? So many people there have seen things that they want answers for, okay? I mean, I had my experience in the early 70s in New Mexico where whatever I saw certainly wasn't a helicopter because whatever it was. And it, for years, I sit there and think about it, that something happened. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. Okay, back in the 70s, I came back from a job. I had 2 jobs in North Carolina. I was on radio. I was also working in a boat manufacturing company, gel coating. And my marriage wasn't working, so I decided to come back to Seattle. And we drove nonstop from North Carolina. We got into New Mexico. I got in the desert. I had a GTO. It'd go really fast, and the speed limit was really high. So I was doing it. And all of a sudden, and you know the story, James, all around my car lit up really bright, brighter than daylight, and it hurt my eyes, and it lit up the inside of the car. And I remember my wife at the time, she was hysterical and screaming. And all I thought is, okay, well, it must be a state police helicopter or something. I must be over the speed limit somehow. So I pull off the side of the road. I get out of the car. There's not a single sound. Nothing. It was dead quiet. And it was, the light was so intense. And then I looked up at the light and then poof, it was gone. Now, years go by, okay? And I have never been hurt except when I was in the military, I fractured my tailbone. But up in the upper part of my back, I had to go in because I was having health problems. My knee was hurting really bad. I was getting a backache all the time. So the doctor sent me in to have an MRI where they put you in the machine. It sounds like a jackhammer. And I go back to the doctor, to find out what we can do. And I walk into the surgeon's office, and the head nurse comes up to me, and she says, "Gary, where did you get that piece of metal next to your spine and your upper back?" And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Did you ever have an operation? Did you, and was asking me all these questions." I'm going like, hey, maybe they're mixing me up with somebody else. I go in and I talk to the doctor, and he says, "Hey, Gary, I got to ask you a question. Did you have surgery on your upper part of your spine?" And I said, "No." And he's looking at my back, and he goes, "I don't see any scars. I don't see anything." And I kind of blocked it out of my mind, okay, because I didn't know where it got there. I asked if he could remove it, and he goes, "No. If I remove it, you'll be in a wheelchair the rest of your life." Okay, so I just kind of blocked that out. Now, one of my older sons at the time got in trouble. Okay, and I had to go to drug court with him for a year every month. So every month I would go into Pierce County, Washington, the courthouse, and I would set the alarm off. Okay, and then the security would say, "Okay, remove all the money, take your belt off." The alarm would still go off, and they're then taking the wand to me, and they're going, well, why is it going off here? I don't know how many times either my pants fell down to my knees, after the belt got off, or they would take me in that special room where they would, have me undress and all this stuff and go through everything. Embarrassing. And to this day, I don't know what it is, whatever it is, but doing this show, I kind of think back in the early 70s of that when I got out of that car. Maybe time kind of like stood still. Maybe I was abducted. Maybe something happened. Why do I have something next to my spine that they can't remove when I never got hurt there in my entire life? It is scary when you think about that, and you don't have any answers.
I think you ought to let me give you a loco, and we can do this live on the air and take that implant out there for you, Gary, and that'd be a big rating show.
The doctor said they can't remove it because if they remove it because it's scar tissue back, and this is back, that I'd be paralyzed.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's you're showing all the markers that I look for. If I had $1 for every time someone told me they'd gone to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Well, what's that?" I'd have at least $100.
Well, it's scary as a patient. All of a sudden, somebody telling you this, you kind of like first blow it off like they're mixing you up with somebody else. I had that even after I left the surgeon's office and he told me that. But then it really started hitting home, like I said, every month going through metal detectors. Or I gave up flying. I used to fly, to Reno or whatever to gamble. I hate to say it. I couldn't even get on an airplane because they would have to take me in that special room, and it's because I would set off everything, and it ruined my life in a lot of ways.
And how do you explain something like that? In your case, it's difficult because you can't connect it with a direct memory with that incident or that was sort of implanted into your body, which a number of people can. And it wouldn't surprise me, under hypnosis, what would come out. But this is the sort of thing I do see quite a bit of. I recently worked with a lady from the Midwest. She has a teenage son who went to the dentist. They go to the dentist regularly. And they had these x-rays, and there was this marble-sized object under his back molar. And it was big. I mean, the dentist couldn't believe it. There's no entry wound, but he's asking the mother, "Well, did you, and the son, did you have a BB gun accident and shoot yourself in the mouth?" Which, of course, they didn't. They would have remembered that if something like that happened. There was no entry wound, and it was much larger than a BB. And I've got the x-rays of this thing. I've taken it to 2 doctors, and both are like, this is a foreign body, looks metallic to me. It's perfectly round,